Ooh, if I had the look that you're looking for, pretty face that you adore, nothing could keep you away from me. But even if I had a house up on the hill and a great big oil well spill, couldn't get you to stay with me. 'Cause I'm not GQ, I'm not GQ, and drive a pickup truck, boots are scuffed, and everything I own is used. I'm not GQ, I could use some touching up, but I'm man enough to be good enough. Oh, if I had the smile that you dream about when you're dreaming of Prince Charming, you'd be ringing my bell every night. But even if I had a style that knocks you out and a brand new Maserati, bet you I couldn't get you to go for a ride. 'Cause I'm not GQ, I'm not GQ, and got a pickup truck and my boots are scuffed and everything I own is used. I'm not GQ, I could use some touching up, but I'm man enough to be good enough. Oh, you like my heart, you really dig my attitude. You like everything about me, but I don't look the way you want me to. You think I'm smart, you like to do the things I love to do. That's the way it goes. Everybody knows I'm not GQ. I'm not GQ, I'm not GQ, and drive a pickup truck, my boots are scuffed, and everything I own is used. I'm not GQ, I could use some touching up, but I'm man enough to be good enough. I'm man enough, but I'm not too much GQ. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
I started writing songs, started writing my own songs. Okay, the Beatles happened, as it did to a lot of us. You know, the Beatles happened for me. I was playing guitar, and the manager of the band said, "We need a piano in the band. Who plays piano?" And I sort of reluctantly raised my hand. Anyhow, he took me down to the Wurlitzer store, and we bought an electric piano, and I just switched from my guitar playing, which really wasn't going that far, going anywhere anyhow, and I became a piano player, and I started writing songs based around the piano, and I found the freedom in my style worked for me, and I didn't have any kind of problems making excuses for the fact that I wasn't classically trained. So, and now they call that style, but at that time I didn't know. It was just being myself. So one of the first songs songs that I wrote when I was starting a family, I was beginning to get involved in trying to do more with my music, and at the same time feeling the pressure to provide for my family, and finding out that the music business wasn't all just an easy road covered with rose petals, that, you know, make your way to the top of the pops. Well, wasn't that easy. So this song is one of my first efforts, and it pretty much dates me because I'm talking about my baby, and that baby is now 37 years old. So, and I never really have had a title for it, but I call it a crazy song, and that's kind of basically what it's about. It's about trying to make sense of all these things that I was trying to make happen in my life. And so it's a favorite fault of mine that I keep dreaming of a place in the sun, but it's so hard to see. 'Cause you see, I've been enchanted by the medium, by what I could do for it, what it could do for me, and all the chances that I took when I was younger seem so crazy when I think of them today, and all the changes that I chose to take so lightly were all part of the craziness. You know, I really felt that way. It was hard for me to keep myself together, and the hard times took me further down the road, and I can't help it if I was dreaming about tomorrow, and the rainbows end where there's a pot of gold, so we are told. You know, you can get to a point where everything is easy. You gotta work in it, gotta sing it in the music that you play. You can stay at a point where everything's so crazy that it becomes something you do instead of something just to say. And I must admit to feeling a little shaky as I try to make plans for my lady, my baby, and me. But I know that in a world where everyone is selling it, you need more than a profit by it. We gotta feel it in our hearts for free. So we have to keep our love together, let the music take us further down the road, and I can't help it if I'm still dreaming about tomorrow, 'cause yesterdays just make me feel so old. Time has come. All right. Yeah, I do have favorite artists that I have gotten attached to over the years. One of my most favorite artists these days is a guy named John Hyatt, and God, he just writes incredible songs and he's getting older, and his songs are evolving with him. writing about aches and pains and you know, stuff that affects us. I feel like sometimes like he's just my contemporary, throwing stuff out there, not the normal happy, you know. But he's so thoughtful. Anyhow, I'm going to do a song of his called "Feels Like Rain." Where the river meets the sea, in the sticky heat, feel you open up to me. Love comes right out of nowhere, baby, like a hurricane, and it feels like rain, and it feels like rain. And underneath the stars, I'm lying here next to you. When the clouds blow out across the moon, and the wind howls out your name, feels like rain, and it feels like rain. It feels like rain, and it feels like rain. So batten down the hatches, baby, keep your heart out on your sleeve. Just a little bit of stormy weather, well, don't it? Well, that's no reason for you to leave. Just stay here, baby, in my arms, and let it wash away the pain, 'cause it feels like rain. It feels like rain. Feels like
and it feels like rain.
Feeling it? Good, good.
Do you guys want to do a dialogue? Now we'll just do a 5-minute dialogue, maybe 6 minutes,
Yeah.
where we'll just talk about what it is that we've said, and we'll do equal time on each person and just get the ideas. And está bien?
Cool.
Okay. Está bien. So yours?
Oh, yeah,
Okay. Yes.
I'm here.
The camera's pointed at you guys, so you guys have to start.
Yes.
I was starting to get a little, I was starting to get a little bleary-eyed
Yeah.
from the journey.
For the-
Yeah.
We've all done like extended driving,
Yeah.
maybe not like that. First I ever did was 20.
So that. Yeah, so that what comes, I have something for Super Donna.
Great.
That just the idea of, I just heard about, not Bill Gates, but the guy who started Mac, Apple,
Job.
Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs would experiment with sleep deprivation in order to be able to find more ideas. The idea that we actually have an access to a different part of ourselves, which is it's ancient. I mean, the Jain monks, different parts of the world, different parts of the every culture has had some holy man, or what do you call it? Yeah, the shaman. That did exactly, which is the oddest thing. That it's like, well, wherever we go, we're still. We create the same mechanisms by which we can comprehend our one dimension of ourself and also our other dimension of we're sort of two-dimensional in that sense. But that's what it was that you were experimenting with, Donna. That's what that was then. How old were you then?
I was about 28, maybe 29.
Good age.
Yeah.
Well, you were mature.
Good age for driving.
Yeah, mature enough to venture and expand, and that was just interesting.
Yeah. I'd been on a spiritual quest a long time. When I was a little girl, I would go out of my body so much that I loved that feeling of boom as you come back in. So I would jump off the arms of chairs to mimic it in the day.
Oh no.
So it's sort of, I was just a different kid in that sense, but I felt that it's important to stretch yourself, and really go deeper.
I
That
agree.
there's much more to life than just the surface. So I've tried to do that.
Very good. Yeah.
And you
It
say
kind of
you,
shows in your art.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. So I did a drive-away too,
All right.
but it was there when I did it. It was about 1968, maybe around there, and there was companies that would facilitate people who were looking to go to the West Coast with the guys who needed their cars driven to the West Coast. And again, I didn't meet my guy either, but it was a Thunderbird. It was a cool car and had total comfort and I was on my way from the east. My friend had called me and said, "Come on out here and play music. You can, we got." So I just jumped at the chance. But the thing I remember most about that, and I was somewhere else at that point in my life, but the thing I remember the most about that is pulling into Tucson, Arizona, and this service station was actually set up as a scam for the kind of drivers like me. They would figure out, I don't know how, I think I might have mentioned something or something. All of a sudden, they popped the hood, checked the oil, and you've got a cracked block.
Oh.
You know, and of course, it's not my car, so the first thing I do is call the guy and, you know, I've got a cracked block. And he, well, how did that happen? And he goes, well, and so, okay, go ahead and take care of it. So these guys had this scam going on, you know, and they were, oh yeah, we have a head right here, you know, and, you know, they had the whole thing, you know, but, so that was my experience with that, except for, and this sounds really, really ridiculous, but I had a fly that was traveling with me in the car, and I called it Vasco da Gama, and I didn't let the fly out, and it was just, I was so by myself, you know, it was just the weirdest thing, but yeah, that was where my head was at. So. Vasco da Gama, the traveling fly, yeah.
That's a better name. That's a better name. Here.
So that was just great. That was so much fun. But you remind me of that, and yeah, I mean, I wasn't on a spirit. I was just trying to get from the east to the west. But it was just, yeah, there was some neat things that happened. I stayed in a motel in Texas. Bare bulb, hanging from a cord and the sheets were clean at least, but man, I don't think I slept that night. I was so afraid. You know? It was Texas Chainsaw Massacre was gonna happen.
Cockles and mussels.
And then then there was a thunderstorm too that I had to. It was so intense, and this was in Texas too, that I just nestled in behind a semi truck.
Yeah.
In the spot where the rain,
Yeah.
where the air pressure would blow, where there wasn't any rain, and I just followed this truck for miles and miles and miles because I couldn't see anything, but I could see the back of his truck, and that's all I remember.
Yeah, they're incredible. The truckers. You go on the road with
Yeah.
them. They're
And he knew I was there too. It wasn't like, so he let me know plenty of time when he was going to slow down or anything like that. But
I wanted to ask you, what was your big catches? Did you catch some big fish?
Sunfish.
You caught a sunfish?
I caught like a lot of sunfish. Not like
It
one
takes a
or
lot,
two,
right?
like 13 or 14.
How
But they were not real big because we filleted them and had fried fish.
nice.
That my grandpa was great because I learned how to do beer batter fish. To this day, I do beer batter fish.
It's an art.
yeah.
And in the front of the cabin, he had this big garden. So the front would be facing the street and the back would be facing the lake. And you have to kind of drive down into, like also on a hill, but you go down this little hill and there's a flat spot where the garden was, right in front of the house. And he grew all kinds of vegetables there. So we'd have the fried fish, the beer battered fish, and when I first started going to my grandpa's, there was no indoor plumbing or running water. We had
Wow.
we had a pump in the kitchen sink, and we also had a pump out by the garden.
Cool.
So to water the garden, you filled up the buckets and watered the garden that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
fluoride.
No, nothing. It
Nice.
was right there out of the water table from the lake. I remember one year my uncles all got together and built it was a one-room cabin, but it had like a porch on the front, and we had what we called the bunkhouse. And so it was a separate area that just had little bunks in it and mosquito nets. Everything had to have mosquito nets, and we used outhouse. Now the neighbor's outhouse was closer to the bunkhouse, so we always went to there. Because his grandpa's outhouse was on the other side over by the garage, where he had this big old, I don't know what kind of car it was, but it was awesome. Black car. You could have like fit the whole family and all of our friends in there. But it never went anywhere, it just sat in the garage. But
You sure have
he
great.
made the most awesome salad, and the salad dressing was like today's ranch dressing, except better. Way before anybody ever made, buttermilk ranch dressing.
Are you a writer? Your
It's the
your
detail.
images are just
It's, yeah,
incredible.
I'm just describing what I'm seeing in my brain.
Jeez, I know.
And it's like,
The
you
journey
know,
of Sheila.
Oh, goodness.
there's this big stove with the sink, one, you know, an old farm sink with a wood.
I could sit around and puff on a pipe, just listen to you. I could see the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell you about the linoleum and the table. And they finally built an extra room, another room onto this, and a bathroom. So then they had actual bedroom and a bathroom. But we still mostly had to use the outhouse because we still slept in the bunkhouse.
And those were farms. That's all the farms were for.
Yeah, this is in northern Minnesota. It's a place called Detroit Lakes. It's all built up resort town now. But it was just this little town on the Detroit Lakes. Is a lot of lakes there. There's a lot of lakes there. And I don't know, Long Lake or something, I think was the name of the lake that he lived on. But I didn't find that out until I was an adult. To me, it's just Detroit Lakes.
Isn't
Grandma's
Minnesota called
outside.
like a land of
Land of Lakes.
Is it
Land of 10,000 lakes.
10,000 lakes? right?
One fish.
And a lot of
I caught it.
Sunfish.
and a lot
I have lots of family there
It
still.
just made me think about outhouses, how unheralded they are.
Oh yeah.
I mean, where would we have been without them?
That was a practice.
I mean, we'd have all killed each other without outhouses.
We'd had a log. We would have had a log with a hole behind it.
Probably. Yeah. We'd have figured out something.
That's all I could think. I'd give you a place to sit. Anyway, that's all I had to say. I was just, traveling.
Yeah.
Okay.
You talked about traveling. He talked about traveling.
Yeah.
Okay, so on a similar, directly addressing what it was you were talking about, Sir George, there was the story from, which is interesting. There was a story from John Lennon, and when he was 5 years old, and I'll come over here to tell it, but
Okay.
what happened was he was 5. He told his mama told him that the most important thing in life was to be happy, and so he said, "Okay, be happy," and he wanted to be happy. Gary, and so I just heard this today, so it seems appropriate, so I'll share it. So he then went to school, and when he was in school, the teacher said, is that where I got it? I think I got it. I got it. Okay.
I know what you're saying.
Yes. So I share with you guys and everyone else. Okay. So and it was very good. That was just ahead of time. Okay. So he went to school, and the teacher said, "Well, we're gonna have an assignment, and we want you guys to write about what you want to be in life, when you grow up." And of course, his answer was that he wanted to be happy, and the teacher said, "Well, you want to be happy? I don't think you understand the assignment." And he said, "Well, no, I don't think you understand life."
Yeah.
And
It's going to be a long year, teacher.
Yes. And the idea that life is about happiness. It's not about what role we can play while we're in life. It's actually about that's the prime. And you guys probably agree.
That's our
with
journey.
That's our journey. That's what it's about. That's interesting. And thank you guys for sharing that.
That's great.
That was great. That was great. And that had to do with your Beatles.
I'm not sure I ever actually heard that
It was a
one.
different one, yeah.
But the only thing I haven't heard.
Yeah.
That makes total sense.
I heard it on the internet. I did.
We're data.
Or the way he found happiness in the early days was it was a bulldozer.
Yeah.
I mean, you had to be careful around him. He had that. He'd go after any kid that, stood out or, he'd just tear you up.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
So
his-
you mean?
Where he
his-
lived.
His
and,
way of getting happy
Had to be
before
really
he
careful.
got aware.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm sorry, we were both talking at the same time. Go
I do it all the time.
Where he lived.
I can still hear. My ears are still open, so is my mouth.
It's probably a rough crowd too.
No, I
They on the
imagine.
wrong side of Liverpool, or
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
close to being
Oh
on the
yeah, in
wrong
the
side.
40s,
Yeah, the docks.
40s and 50s.
That's right. It was right after World War II. He was 5.
Yeah. Okay, excuse me.
So that is very good. Kaz.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Well, I feel better.
Yes, yes.
I think there's some type of I don't know, it's just aphrodisiac, I don't know, some type of,
That's the energy.
it's just like,
Okay, well, anybody who knows what I've been doing lately, I've been exploring a land of music that my father dwelt in for years and years. In the Great American Songbook, he would come home from work and just knock himself out practically from the daily routine that he was in by playing the piano. And sometimes he would get into I'd catch him laughing, sometimes I'd catch him weeping, you know, and it was just this release for him. And I thought it was silly when I was a teenager, you know, I just, you know, why isn't he out playing catch with me or something? But he really needed that release. His job was such that he needed something, and so I in a quest almost to find out where my father was at and why he had to go here, I found all these beautiful songs, you know, and that's the Great American Songbook. I've been playing music most of my life, you know, one way or another. Took piano lessons for just a short period of time, long enough to confuse classical artists who see me play and go, "How do you get around?" You know, it's like it's that kind of thing. I just had to. I had to stop taking piano lessons because I was getting frustrated with the regimen of it all, and I think that's, you know, it's great, and I mean, fabulous, but that just wasn't my path. And so anyhow, I started exploring these songs that my dad was so tied up in, and so I think I'll do My Funny Valentine, because it's one that it kind of led me in the beginning of this path. So.
Yes.
And my favorite version is by Etta James, but I'm just gonna let it go. And this is the Gary version. So. Funny Valentine, sweet comic Valentine, you make me smile with my heart. Your looks are laughable, unphotographable, yet you're my favorite work of art. Is your figure less than Greek? Is your mouth a little weak when you open it to speak? Are you smart? But don't change your hair for me, not if you care for me. Stay, little Valentine, stay. And each day will be Valentine's Day.
Is your figure less than Greek? Is your mouth a little weak when you open it to speak? Are you smart? Don't change your hair for me, not if you care for me. Stay, little Valentine, stay. And each day will be Valentine. Each day will be Valentine. Each day will be Valentine's Day.
Alrighty.
Hi, my name is Donna Somerville, and this is my first time here, and I'm very happy to share a painting that I did. It's about a woman crossing over the Great Divide, and it's called All My Relations, because just like seeing faces in the clouds, you look at it long enough and you'll start to see people coming for her to help carry her across. This reflects some of my own experiences. I've had 5 near deaths in my past, and that was what caused me to take on a path as a healer in order to get help with myself. But before that, all I wanted to do was paint, and that's all I was involved with was art. I was in New York City. I studied there with a classical realist portrait painter. I studied in Maine under a landscape, seascape artist. And it wasn't until the first crisis, the near death, that I realized there was something more that I had to do. And so now I do healing and art, and they serve each other. You know, the art helps heal me, and then I can go and give to others. Yeah.
Well done. So I can see that the piece is a representation, and in terms of realism, it is not a realism piece. It's considered, what would you call it?
Expressionism, I guess.
Expressionism.
Yeah. I'm not very good with names on things like that, but I know that I was trained in high realism, but at a certain point in my life, I was in meditation, and I was shown that I had to paint in a different way. Okay. That, if you will, that which keeps us breathing, the spirit, whatever you want to call, indicated to me that it had things it wanted to teach me. Okay. And so I basically had to unlearn everything I learned. And I decided to go back to what I had done in 2nd grade. And I had a good teacher, art teacher, and she did a process that maybe some of you have experienced, where you take crayons and you put it all over the paper, and then you put black India ink over it, and then you scratch through. Yes. Well, I figured that's a good place to start. So I did that technique, but with the paint. And so I would do layer upon layer. And this painting was actually supposed to be a lot more realistic, but every time I'd try to do high realism, I would get stopped in my tracks. Sorry. And so what happens instead is I just let whatever's in my heart out, And then I'll throw water, in this case it's an oil, but with the acrylic ones, which are more what I do now, I'll throw water and then rub through the different layers.
There we go.
And then it has that effect of, it's sort of magic, really. It's the only way. Because then the story shows itself. I have no idea of what I'm painting. I just let it play out. And then I get taught something too. You know? So it's a lot of fun, actually.
Yes, and that creative process, which again comes from within.
Yeah.
And that's what it is that artists, musicians, painters, that's where they come from. They come from within. The point of reference, which we're now learning as a species, is a point to which we need to return in order for us to thrive and to create our bright 21st century. So we thank you for coming and being a part of our show, sharing this wonderful perception that you cultivated from your soul.
Thank you.
And we look forward to more. So
Okay.
thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
I'll do another one of my songs. This one is written, the germ of the song was written while I was riding a horse. And it's kind of loping along, you know, and there's the rhythm of the song, you know, and so we kind of have to assume that's happening, because riding endlessly Alrighty. So I'm going to end with my signature song. I call it that because it's what I like to send people away with a little good thought. Talking, and it kind of ties in what we were talking about tonight. It's called The Art of Happiness, and the way this song evolved was I was working with a producer who had a shot to give a song to the show Friends, and he said, he called me up and he said, I've got a couple of lyrics, and why don't we collaborate on this? So of course it didn't get picked, but it just has stuck with me all this time, and so this song is as old as the show Friends. And this is the number 2 song. It didn't get picked, but anyhow. The art of happiness is all in your point of view. What you want out of life is really up to you. To grow within the toughest times, to do it with a smile. Friends make the meaning more sublime, and make it all worthwhile. Things won't always go the way you want them to. Sometimes it takes a lot of help to see a good thing through. Along with all your fondest dreams and all you hope to do, you'll find that what you really need is one good friend or two. So, and the epilogue on that is when they were shooting the last episode, we resubmitted it, thinking this would be a nice way to tie it all up, but they weren't interested at that point in another song, but that's the one that got away. But I had a lot of fun doing it, and the session was phenomenal because it was some of the guys from Toto, Harvey Mason on drums, just an unbelievable cast of studio musicians, and I just had to come in and sing the melody. It was just fabulous. So. Anyhow.
Oh, we love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yay! All right.
It's a Dylan twin spin. This is for sale. I just asked her. Beautiful, isn't it? Tangled Up in Blue. Early one morning the sun was shining. She was laying in bed, wanting if her life had changed at all, and was the hair still red. The folks had their lives together, sure was gonna be tough. They never did like Mama's homemade dress, and thought the basket wasn't big enough. He was standing on the side of the road, rain falling on his shoes. Heading out to the East Coast, Lord knows he paid his dues. Getting through, tangled up in blue. She was married when they first met, soon to be divorced. He helped her out of every jam, I guess, but he used a little too much force. Drove that car as far as they could, banded it out west. Splitting up on a dark summer night, on a Greyhound in his bed. She turned around, looked at him as he was walking away. Sailed over her shoulder, And someday on the avenue, tangled up in blue. Had a job at Santa Fe, working for an old motel. Never did like it all that much, and one day the axe just fell. Chose to get over to New Orleans, lucky enough to be destroyed. Got him a job on a beachy boat, docked outside of Detroit. And all the while he was alone, the past not far behind. He's seen a lot of women, she never escaped his mind. So he grew tangled up in blue. She was working at a doctor's place. I stopped in for a beer. Kept staring at the side of her face, and the spotlight was so clear. And later on, I never calmed down. I took it back to the sink. She was standing there beside my chair, saying, "Don't come here, let me dish your bed." I muttered something underneath my breath. She stared at the lines on my face. I admit I was a little uneasy, sit down, tied the laces on my shoes, tangled up in blue. Every time I'm on Monologues Street in a basement down the stairs, there was music playing in a cafe at night, revolution in the air. Then he started into dealing with slaves, something inside him had died. She sold everything she owned, rose up inside. And it all came crashing down, I became withdrawn. The only thing I knew how to do was keep on keeping on, like the curve that flew, tangled up in blue. Now I'm headed back again, gotta get to them somehow. All the faces we used to know are just illusions now. Some are mathematicians, some are biotech's wives. I never knew how it all got started, what they're doing with their lives. See, I'm still out on the road, searching for another joint. We always just see things the same, just saw from a different point of view. Tangled up in blue.
Yeah.
Thank you, Senator, for all your talk. Get here, everybody. It's wild.